Since snuffing out a bulletproof Kryptonian is quite a tall order, most supervillains find other ways to torment Superman. Throughout his adventures, villains have tricked him into committing atrocities, used his body to beat the hell out of his friends, and well, basically been very mean. With that in mind, I'm Will for WhatCulture, and here are 10 Superman fates.
Probably when Superman interacts with the Joker, because it rarely happens, but the Joker messes with Superman so good. And the destruction that comes from it, it's terrifying.
Worse than death. 10. Red Kryptonite.
Red Kryptonite. I remember when I saw Red Kryptonite for the first time, it was Smallville. And yes, Red Kryptonite with Superman, that's not a fun time.
Even though Kryptonite usually takes on a green hue, there are actually many variants. One of the strangest is Red Kryptonite, since its effects on Kryptonians are completely random. Like, literally anything could happen. The worst experience Superman has had with this form of...
I thought Red Kryptonite made Kryptonians super angry. You know, just like specific reds, anger, I think that was basic. Gosh, I am so uneducated.
Kryptonite was during the JLA Tower of Babel storyline, after Talia al Ghul forced the spandex-sporting superhero to make contact with the Rock. Supes became hypersensitive to solar energy. This caused the sun's rays to incinerate Superman's organs and muscles from the inside out. In Talia's own words, "It may not kill you, but you will wish you were dead."
Oh my gosh, I thought it changed the Kryptonian personality, not physiologically. That is horrifying. Oh my goodness.
9. Mind control. For all the good Superman has done, there are some like Lex Luthor who fear the Big Blue will turn against humanity. And despite Superman's best intentions, Lex kinda has a point. Even though the Boy Scout superhero can bench...
Even though Lex Luthor is a serious psychopath, terroristic villain, his fears aren't insane. You have to admit that his fears are not crazy.
Press a planet and crush a diamond with his eyelid, his mind can be corrupted. Poison Ivy used her pheromones to brainwash Superman, forcing him to attack Batman. But one of the most terrifying moments in Superman's life was when his body was possessed by Eclipso, the embodiment of God's wrath. Intending to use the Man of Tomorrow's body to cause untold levels of destruction, Shazam was forced to intervene and tried to rip Eclipso from his friend's body. Unable to defeat the ancient demon, Shazam's mentor summoned the embodiment of God's vengeance, the Spectre, who had Eclipso imprisoned. If it wasn't for the Spectre's appearance, Super Eclipso could have theoretically leveled the planet in a matter of minutes.
Not theoretically,
8.
he would.
Poisoned by kryptonite for 200 years. After William Matthews falsely believed Superman intentionally chose not to save his parents, he vowed to destroy the superhero. After being endowed with the life force of the old gods, Matthews, now calling himself Gog, developed many powers, including time travel. Even though Gog's newfound abilities allowed him to go toe-to-toe with Superman, he was ultimately defeated. But refusing to...
But how does one get into that belief? It is so ridiculous. Like, you have to be... I mean, that's how you end up being a supervillain with low mentality. Because Superman, you grow up with this man who saves his life, risks his life every day. You think he chose not to save your parents? You stupid fool. That's what makes a great antagonist in a story, because he's idiotic, but from his perspective, he's totally in the right.
Give up, he went back in time to try again, and was defeated again. So he kept going back, and kept on trying. After battling Kal-El for 2 centuries, Gog finally emerged victorious in Action Comics 825. Gog believed death was too good for Superman, and so decided to break his mind and spirit instead. Since it took him 200 years to defeat his enemy, Gog thought it was only fitting to torture him for the same length of time. Shackling him to a harness and dousing him in kryptonite, Gog forced his prisoner to endure pure agony for centuries. Fortunately, Superman was rescued by Doomsday. Yeah, that Doomsday, allowing him to undo Gog's actions and return to his original timeline. 7. Losing Krypton all over again. Brainiac is a super-intelligent alien who shrinks sections of planets and stores them on his ship to study. When Superman discovered that the extraterrestrial despot had shrunken the Kryptonian city of Kandor, he was thrilled to see thousands of his species had survived Krypton's destruction, including his aunt and uncle. When Superman removed Kandor from Brainiac's ship, the city automatically grew to its original size and became known as New Krypton. However, unfamiliar with Earth's customs and laws, Several Kryptonians killed multiple cops, creating a rift between Earth and New Krypton. Lex Luthor fanned the flames of mistrust and eventually had New Krypton destroyed with a missile, killing most of the population. When the surviving Kryptonians declared war on Earth, Superman had no choice but to have his people banished to the Phantom Zone. It was heartbreaking to watch Superman fulfill his greatest wish, only to have it ripped away from him.
That's heartbreaking. I mean, Lex Luthor probably did that on purpose as well. But a missile to hit New Krypton, he would know he's not gonna kill freaking Kryptonians with a missile. But he knew that because he's been fighting Superman for how many years at that point. So he did that just to cause a war. And the Superman had to choose, and he still chose us. He's so nice. And people hate him. Shame on you.
A single year later. 6. Depowered and exposed. When a sinister organization called Hordor Root discovered Superman and Clark Kent were one and the same, they blackmailed the Man of Steel to work for them, or else they would expose his identity. Believing his loved ones would be targeted if his identity became known, Superman reluctantly agreed. Believing the wicked corporation would make Superman commit atrocities for their benefit, Lois Lane deliberately exposed his identity to the world, freeing him from their influence.
That's not a choice.
Sadly, this revelation turned Superman's life upside down. He was fired, sued, and had all his assets frozen. Anyone connected to Clark Kent became a target for supervillains, forcing his civilian friends to cut ties with him. To make matters worse, he lost most of his powers shortly after. He did still have a little bit of super strength, but it was difficult to read about Superman nearly getting killed by a group of thugs. Lois Lane may have had nothing but good intentions, but there is no questions. Her actions ruined Superman's life.
That's very
5.
selfish.
Being corrupted by the anti-life equation. One of the most dangerous artifacts in the multiverse is the anti-life equation. Anti-life is a mathematical formula that allows the wielder to control all forms of sentient life. Darkseid has coveted this formula.
I never understood the anti-life equation entirely, like mathematical formula that controls life matter. Considering I have a deep hatred for anything mathematical, that makes me not want to understand it and just destroy it. But like a mathematical formula control the life essence of everything in the multiverse. I don't know, I don't get it. I don't get it.
For millennia, hoping to use it to bend all living things to his will. Because Superman has stopped Darkseid claiming his grand prize time and time again, the new god dreams of using anti-life to control the Kryptonian, transforming him into his right-hand man. The concept of Superman being turned into Darkseid's servant has actually been explored in the Elseworld story Superman Darkseid, and it didn't go well for anyone. Superman is terrified of the possibility that Darkseid could use the anti-life equation to force him to kill his friends, enslave planets, and exterminate entire civilizations.
And he would do that
because of Superman's ideals, it's safe to say he would take his own life in a heartbeat to avoid becoming a pawn of Darkseid. 4. Trapped in the Phantom Zone. Superman is not the only Kryptonian to have a no-kill rule. His father, Jor-El, despised the concept of murder and conceived an alternate punishment for criminals. Instead of executing the worst that Krypton had to offer, Jor-El had them transported to a pocket universe called the Phantom Zone.
I'm sorry, but I find that a bit hypocritical, in my opinion. I would rather you kill me than send me to a Phantom Zone, because my idea of Phantom Zone is like being sent to solitary for the rest of your life. And that is a existential nightmare. Like, no, just kill me. I think that's worse. Being forced to live your life. I'm not really sure how the Phantom Zone works, so I might be wrong. But that thought, how I understand it, that's terrifying. No, thank you.
What makes this otherworldly prison so terrifying is that it exists outside of the space-time continuum, meaning time does not flow normally there. 1 second in our universe may feel like a million years have passed to anyone residing in the Phantom Zone. With nothing to mark the passing of time, it's no surprise that most of the residents go completely insane. Ironically, many incarcerated prisoners on Krypton preferred to be executed, believing it to be more humane than being banished to another universe forever. 3. Living in a universe run by the Joker.
Oh my God,
After
that
the
sounds
Joker stole
horrifying.
the reality warping powers of Mr. Mixie Spidlick, the Clown Prince
That
of Crime
sounds
reshaped the
horrifying.
universe to his liking. Crowning himself as Emperor Joker, Batman's nemesis performed all sorts of deranged acts with his godlike power,
I wanna see
including
this. Is this an
eating the
animation
entire
movie?
population of China. He also made everyone else forget about their past lives,
There's no way
meaning
this
they
is a
believed the
even a
Joker
movie in
had
animation.
always been the top dog. But there was one person who still remembered the original world. Superman.
Of
As terrifying
course.
as it is to live in a society where an omnipotent psychotic clown runs the show, it was extra frustrating for Superman since he knew the way
That's
things
even
used to
worse.
be. Superman eventually returned reality to normal, which is lucky, since it's a safe assumption no one in their right mind would ever live in a world where the Joker was calling the shots.
No,
2.
no, thank you.
Becoming a supervillain. In the Injustice video game and comic series, the Joker
I
administers
love the
a
Injustice
kryptonite-laced
series.
fear toxin in Superman's bloodstream, forcing him to kill Lois and their unborn baby. Because Lois's heartbeat was linked to a nuclear bomb in Metropolis placed by the Joker, her death detonated it, destroying the city.
This was such
After
an
losing his
insane
wife,
story.
his child, and his home in one swoop,
He became-
Superman snapped
Yep.
and punched a hole through the
This
Joker's
is such an
chest.
insane
To ensure
story.
no one suffered like the way he did, Superman elected himself as the highest authority on Earth. When his old teammates questioned his extreme measures,
No time
Superman
for
had them
questions.
imprisoned or killed. Because he could never undo all the damage he's caused, this version of Superman seems forever beyond redemption. 1. Outliving everyone on Earth. Under a red sun, Kryptonians like Superman are indistinguishable from humans. But under a yellow sun, the solar cells charge Superman's body, giving him powers like flight, super strength, freeze breath, and optic
wish I
lasers.
was a
Even if Superman
Kryptonian.
is heavily injured, he will heal at super speed, as long as he's in the proximity of a yellow star. Not only does the solar energy repair Superman's cells, but it also stops them from aging, allowing him to live far beyond a regular Kryptonian's
That is so
lifespan.
true.
So, how
That is
long can
sad.
Superman live?
That is so sad. That's another existential, terrifying thought that I have. God, immortality is the worst power you could have. I'm sorry, it sucks. The thought of that sucks. Aging slowly, I would take, but immortality sucks.
While exposed to a yellow sun. Well, depending on what comic you're referring to, it could be a century, millennia, or millions of years.
Millennia is
In
too
Mark
much
Miller's
as well.
Superman Red Sun, Superman lived to be over 1 billion. There may be no conclusive answer, but there is one thing that is for certain. Superman will outlive anyone he's ever
That's
cared
so
about.
sad.
Even if he brings world peace, hangs up the cape and retires with Lois Lane, he is still going to outlive her and all his childhood friends,
Well, he would become the
family,
cape
work
off again.
colleagues,
That's
and
why-
teammates. For such an inspirational superhero, Superman is ironically set for a cripplingly depressing experience.